we'll be seeing how to write the chef code. Okay, so when you want to automate your infrastructure, so what you have to do? You have to write the cookbooks in chef. Okay, and then you need to apply on the servers. Okay, so how to write a cookbook in chef? Okay, so go to your chef repo. Okay, so there is in chef, as I said, we cannot do anything from web UI. Okay, everything should be from command and interface. So the only if you want to view something, okay, you can just go to the web view and you can see, but maximum things you can perform from CLI only. Okay, so now I'm just going into the same thing, chef repo. Okay, so once you go into the chef repo, in this path you'll see a folder called cookbooks. Okay, so you can see under the chef repo you have a folder called cookbook. Okay, so when you execute some commands like cookbook creation or upload or deletion, okay, so while you try to create a cookbook, the cookbook try to create in this cookbooks folder. Okay, so and you can give any name to your cookbook, any name. Okay, there is no restriction saying like, okay, you can give only this particular name, you should not give this name. So nothing like that. You can give any name to your cookbook while creating. Example, if you want to create a cookbook, okay, what the command is, knife cookbook create cookbook name. So okay, so example, if you want to create a cookbook name called Apache. Okay, so what you can do, you can just give the Apache. Okay, right? So okay, so you can see here, so it got created. So it says, okay, so it's creating a cookbook in this particular path. Okay, chef repo under the cookbooks folder, and it created Apache cookbook with the readme changelog and metadata b file. Okay, now so once it got created, now what you can do, you can go inside your cookbooks, inside Apache. Okay, so I just given some other name, not exact Apache name, because with the same Apache name I have another cookbook. Okay, okay, so right, so now I'm into my cookbook. Okay, now once you're into cookbook, so let us see what are the default folders you have. See, so these are the default folders which comes with the creation of cookbook. Okay, so these are the default folders and files which comes with the when you try to create a cookbook. So what are those things? Templates, resources, recipes, providers, metadata, RB. So we have some lot of different files. Okay, so but remember, so whenever you try to write a code, chef code, your complete code is written in the recipes. Okay, recipes is the one where you write your complete chef code. Okay, so inside recipes you write the code, and other folders, so these are the dependents on the recipes. Okay, so whenever recipe required, okay, depend upon the requirement, recipe uses the other folder. Okay, if it not required, you won't use it. If it's required, use it. Okay, so but the complete core code is written in recipe. All the other dependencies, like example, if you want to copy a file into the server. Okay, so how you do that? Okay, we put that particular file into the files folder, and then we'll call that files from the recipe. Okay, or if you want to change the values of a file during the runtime. Okay, during the runtime you want to get some values and you want to change it. So in those cases, what you can do, you can use the template section like this. So depends upon the requirement, So we will be changing. Okay, so that is how it works. Now, so now the next thing is, let us go and see how this can be performed. Okay, so here we are going to use the Ruby language in writing the chef code. Okay, so if I go to the recipes, okay, so in recipes, by default you'll find a folder called default.rb file. Okay, so here all the files will be with the Ruby extension, the files. Okay, so yeah, so now inside the recipes you have a default folder. Okay, so now you can use this default.rb file, or else you can create another file inside recipes folder. Example, you think you don't want to use this default.rb file. Okay, so then you can use other folder. You can create other files. Sorry. You can create other file, and you can write your other code. Okay, so as I said, you can create other file with the Ruby extension file. Okay, and then you can write, or else what you can do, you can go into the default RB file and you can write it. So vi default.rb file. Okay, so once you go into the VI, okay, so remember, I'm using Mac. Okay, I used VI editor to edit my file, but in your case, okay, I think you're using Windows, right? So if you're using Windows, you have to use the you have to use the Sublime Text or a Atom. Okay, so depends upon your requirement, you use the other editors. Okay, because in Windows you don't have VA, right? So that's the reason you can use a Sublime Text or an Atom or Notepad++. Okay, to edit your files. Yeah, so once you go into your default.rb file inside your Apache folder, so what is the next thing? So you have to write your code. So what code you have to write? Okay, so manually whatever the task you are trying to do to install Apache, okay, so those things you have to convert into the code in the recipes. Okay, so first thing, just get the complete details what you want to convert, and so write down the steps what all things you have to do, then start writing the chef code. That is the best way. Okay, so example, I want to install Apache and make sure my website is up and running. Okay, so once like I have to install map, download the software, okay, enable and start the software, then configure my page, welcome page. Okay, so in the welcome page what it should have, it should get configured. Okay, so that is what I want to do now. So to do that, so how I need to write my code? Okay, so first to download a software, okay, so you have to mention the software name and the commands. Okay, package http do action install end. Okay, so this is a command. What I have done here, I am trying to install a package called httpd, okay, and I'm trying to end here. So first thing, as I told you, install the package. So here my Apache package name is httpd. Okay, so how chef will think, how chef know how to download the software, and how to install. Okay, so how means here, so whenever you write a chef code, okay, here resource is the most important thing in chef. Okay, resource tells to the chef, okay, so user has given this input and this action, okay, using this resource go and perform that particular action. Okay, so what is the name I have told here? I told HTTPD is an software name, and what I told to install the software, right? So package is a resource. Okay, here it's a default resources which is present in chef. It uses a package and then it goes and install the software. Okay, so if suppose, okay, here package will refers to your yum repositories. Okay, your Linux, it represents your Linux repositories. Remember that. So suppose, how do you know what are the default resources? How do you, if what are the places you want to use the resources? How means in Chef we have a list of default resources. Let me show you now. I'm just pasting in the chat. Let's go to this page. Okay, yeah. Now if you go to this page, okay, so just come down. Okay, so there is something tab called resources here. Okay, so you can see the list of resources. Okay, so you can see apt package. If you are using the Ubuntu platform, okay, see, I have written my code. I'm writing my code for the Red Hat. Okay, if Red Hat, okay, so package is a resource which will execute only in Red Hat servers. Okay, if you want to write a cookbook for your Ubuntu servers, then what you have to do? This one has to change. So instead of package resource, what you have to do? You have to use apt underscore package. Okay, so apt underscore package. In Ubuntu, we don't call as HTTPD. We call the software name as Apache only. Do action install. This is how you have to convert your command. Okay, if you are using a Linux, what you have to do? HTTPD, because this is how we call it up in yum repository. These are the name reference. Okay, so yeah, so now you can see these are the default, like bash, batch, okay, breakpoint, chef gem, cookbook file, cron job, you know, cookbook file, you know, the file where you want to copy a file from your laptop to your server. Okay, deploy, if you want to deploy something. Okay, so package is execute file. So these are the list of things. These are the list of available default resources which are available in the chef. Okay, so now you can see the package. Use the package resource to manage the package when the package is installed from a local file such as rubygems, dpk, rpm package manager. So from your repositories, okay, whatever things you want to install, you can use this package. So similarly, you have lot of things, resources. Okay. Okay, so if you want to download something from the Windows, okay, you can see Windows package like this templates. You either you want to change the values during the runtime, you have to use the templates, where you have to write your templates in the ERB, embedded Ruby, okay, and you have to write your files in embedded Ruby. Okay, so in this way. Okay, so first thing is you have to get the resource. Okay, and you have to name and action M. So if you have a resource, okay, how a resource can recognize your name and action? See, as I mentioned, is a resource, and I'm given some name and action. So how means in the resource, okay, when you write some resource, you have to write your complete thing. Okay, so come like what is the first thing you have to get it done and what action. Okay, by getting these two things only, resource will get executed. Okay, by getting these two things only, resource will get executed. Okay, so now if you see here, package HTTPD do action install. Okay, so how this resource will take this name and action, let me show you something. Um, I'm just trying to search on Coco where I can show you a good example. Yeah. Okay. So example. Let's take this as an example. Okay. So I just got some example. Okay. So there is some application called AEM. Okay. So I just take an example. So in this way, you can write, we have a lot of books in this way. Okay. So here I have taken AEM application example. So AEM is an uh, Hadoop application which is developed to run your digital websites. So nowadays everyone is using digital website, right? So to develop your digital websites, this Hadoop AEM application will help you. Okay, so here, so if you want to set up your AEM, okay, so if you want to set up your AEM, then you have to write down your own Google. Okay, so when you try to write, okay, so as I told you, where you write your complete code, you have to write in a recipes folder. Okay, let me go into the first of all recipes. Okay, so here in recipes, first thing in like here in this application we have three type of cookbooks. So we have three type of applications. One is author, dispatcher, and publisher. Okay, so dispatcher is the main, it's act like a web UI. Okay, okay, and publish will send the details to the dispatcher, author will send the details to the publish. Okay, publish, and these are the replications, something like, okay, okay, this will send. So first thing, before setting these three applications, okay, first thing what you have to do, you have to set up a basic AEM setup. Okay, and then so if you see here, I'm not using default Adobe file directly, I'm just calling this one, and this will call this will call this, something like that. Okay, now if I go to the base AEM setup, first I'm trying to set up the application. Okay, so here yeah, so here if you see everything whatever I'm trying to use is a default resources. So how I'm saying means, see, case node platform. Okay, so what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to use a condition. I'm checking the platform. If the node platform means server OS is D1 or Ubuntu, then install this particular package. If it's a Red Hat Florida, so use this package. That is what I'm doing. Okay, so once installed, then it has to install some packages, okay, some gem files, okay, so and other some other download some files. Okay, so once it's done, it's trying to install some Java and some it trying to configure the SSH files. Okay, okay, so these are the default things it trying to use. Okay, so once it done this one, so what is the next step it will do? It will go here and it will let us go into author first. Okay, in author, yeah, see, up to here. Okay, just ignore. We'll just go through this code. Okay, so if you're not getting, just ignore all these things. So basically, only we are doing nothing. Okay, so unless this license file, if uh, if these license files are present, then only go and execute this template. That is what I'm saying, because we are configuring template properties, right? So we are trying to copy here this file. So if license file is not present, there is no use. Okay, so this is what it's saying. Just ignore all these things. I'll just come to the template section. See here, come here. Now here I'm using some block. I have written some block. So what is that block? EM init, AM author, service, and content, and some other files, some other values I'm passing, and I'm giving the action called add. So there is a resource block, and I'm giving some name, okay, and followed by some other details, and I'm trying to perform some action. Okay, how Chef will recognize this command, this one, because this is not a default resources. Okay, so if you write down here, Chef cannot recognize that. Okay, so that's the reason how I written my recipe, how I written my resource, AEM underscore init. So how you have to define, if suppose if you are writing your own resource, then how you have to define is uh, first of all, it has to carry the cookbook name underscore followed by the resource name, whatever the resource you are trying to use. Okay, then what chef will do is chef will think, okay, there is a in our own AEM cookbook there is a resource called init. Okay, so I have to take this input. Okay, this is a name. Okay, it will think it has to take this input and this action to this resource. So once you take all these details to the resource will tell what we need to do. Okay, now let us go. Okay, in AEM and go to the cookbooks folder. Here I have the resource block, see resource, go here and see under the resource, under the AEM cookbook, under the resource, what is the file name? I told init. See, there is a file called init, right? So I will go to init and see. So once I got init, so if I get something called action, okay, so these are the details I required. Okay, so see, required true. Okay, other details are, it's a kind of array. If you doesn't get the values, then also fine, because default value is nil. So here I told required true. Required true means some service name is mandatory for me. Okay, if you pass the service name as nil, it will not get executed. If you pass some other values, example, I'm passing some multiple values here, right? So I'm passing default content, run by jar, base jar, JVM jar, all these values I'm passing. If suppose these values if you pass something null values, then it's gonna execute, nothing will happen. But the service name, whatever the service name you are trying to execute, that name should be present. Okay, that is how it gonna help you. Now, okay, so once it got these details, okay, so what is service name here? See, AM author I'm passing, and I'm trying to perform some actions, and I'm giving some values. So what happened? It goes to the resource. It will check all these values are got it or not. Once it got the resource values, how this action need to perform, that is defined in the providers. Okay, so now resource will call, but in the backend, chef will call the providers now. So once resource got all the details, it will go and tell to the providers. Now if I go to the AEM cookbook again, so here we have providers. Inside providers we have an init.rb file. See, so inside init.rb file, so you have the execution step. So if you get action called add, okay, so what you are getting, you are getting the service name and the values, variable list. You are defining the variable list, and this is what the action you are trying to do. So what I'm trying to do, I'm doing nothing. I'm simply configuring the service, AEM service inside the server under the in which path in the server under the etc and d. I'm just trying to configure. That's it. Very simple. See, I'm getting all the variables list. Once I got the variables list, I'm getting the template. Okay, I'm passing the template name to here. Okay, and what is the source? Source.init.erb file. It's an embedded Ruby file which is present inside the template. If I go here, if I go inside the books, if I go under the template, so there is a call init.erb file, right? I'm calling this here, and I'm passing the values. I'm giving some permission. Finally, I'm restarting the services. That is what I'm trying to do. So if you have a default resources, you can use it. Okay, if you don't have a default resources, then this is how you have to define. Okay, so now okay, Sam, let me do that. Okay, so he is asking some diagrammatical diagram how it's going to perform. Okay, see, this is your cookbook. Okay, so when you Okay, so this is a cookbook. So when you try to cookbook, when you try to create a cookbook, inside first thing you have to write your own cookbook. In where you have to write down, you have to write your cookbook inside your laptop. So when you try to create a cookbook, what are the default folders it comes? Okay, recipes, some files, templates, uh, resources, uh, providers, uh, libraries, okay, and libraries, and then not all the things, uh, attributes, like this. So these are the files. Okay, so wherever you write your code, your complete code written in the recipes. Okay, and all the files you'll be calling now. Okay, so now as I told, when you try to write your recipes folder, okay, so you have to tell what it need to do. Okay, so something called action, and for doing this action you have to give the name, action, and if you want to give some any input parameter you can pass it. Okay, you can pass it this information in the recipes. Okay, if you are trying to install, or if you want to configure, or if you want to delete, in those areas this will help. Okay, if you want to start it, you can just go and do service name and action start. Okay, like that. So these are the default things which is required, you have to provide. So suppose if you're, when you, in chef we have some default resources, and in few cases you don't have default resources. If you have a default resources, then you can just mention default resources in those things. At the time you don't end up using these libraries, resources and providers. All these folders are not required if you are using default resources. If you don't have a default example, each and every company nowadays each and every company is launching new applications. So in few scenarios you cannot get your providers or resources by default. Okay, so what you do in those cases, you have to write down your own. Okay, when you try to write your own, when you try to write down your own resources and providers, so what this thing, before writing your recipe code, you have to make sure you have to define your resource and providers. Go inside the resource and providers. Okay, first of all you have to write down the resource. Okay, if you get some action called add, what are the parameters you require? Okay, if you get something action called delete, what are the parameters are required? If you get an operation called update, what all parameters required? Okay, if I go here, if I go here, yeah, into the resource bar, see, I'm getting something action call and these are params. Okay, below to this down, I'll say action delete, and I'll add some more params like that. What are the action you want to perform? So what are the parameters you require? You'll just write down the resource. Okay, so once the resource action is done, once the resource action it got, it gonna call the providers. It's going to call the providers. So I got the input, go and perform some action. So what action it to perform? See, it is mentioned inside the providers. See, once you get the action called add, what are the parameters required, what are the action to perform? That's it. It's going to perform. So cookbook take the values and it pass to the providers. Providers pass to the resources. So see, chef in the recipe call the resource, and resource will take the values, and then it will call the providers. Okay, so this is how chef is going to execute. So in few scenarios what you can do, okay, so see, in few scenarios, okay, in few scenarios uh, you can mention your libraries as well. See, if you're keep on using the values repeatedly, Okay, so you can write down your own libraries as well, something like called as function. In if you are aware of any languages, commonly in Java language or in .NET we use functions. So instead of using repeated values in chef, suppose you're in a cookbook. Okay, okay. So, okay, before going to that, is it clear, right? Resource, how you are using a resource in Chef. So see, if you are using a remote file, which is a default resource, you're directly using remote file and you're using. If you don't have a resource, default resources, then cookbook name followed by the resource name and the input parameters. Okay, it will go and call inside the AEM, it will go and call the resources. Here, see. So here I'm using a remote file, which is a resource bar. It will recognize by easily and it will get executed. So this is the difference we see. Is it clear? Okay. Now, now one more folder we have here is if I go here, see, one more folder called we have libraries. Okay, so libraries is the one where you write your functions. Okay, so if you're trying to, if suppose if you're trying to use repeated uh, action, okay, if you're trying to do something inside a server, okay, if you're trying to do something repeated inside the server, so what you can do instead of using all those things, okay, so example like you want to convert some file into some other format, okay, or if you are using a repeated values, so in repeated steps, what you can do, you can define that repeated things inside the libraries and then you can use that library in the recipe. Okay, let us take an example. Okay, I have something library called am underscore helper.rb file. Okay, so I just open, so I just written something. Okay, so here I'm defining some values and something, so match command something. Okay, I just don't want to go this because you'll get a lot of confused. Okay, I'm going through this piece. Author. Okay, so okay, I think they did not use here. Maybe they used inside the providers. Let us go inside the providers. Okay, so as I said, instead of using the multiple executions, though they'll write the one library, and that library will be calling here. So they have to use somewhere here. I don't think they use here. Okay, let to import watcher. I think they should be using here. Okay, I'll just show an example. Library. Okay. Yeah, so I'll just show you an example here. See, yeah, inside of a recipe. Okay, so I'm trying to configure MongoDB services. Okay, so here, if I go here, see, these are place how you define. Okay, these look somewhat complicated, but I just want to show you an simple example. So how it gonna call your providers. Here I'm trying to configure a template. Okay, I'm passing the path where is my template need to be configured through the attributes path. Okay, so this attribute which I define. Okay, we'll do all these things while writing our codebook in going forward. Okay, so at that time you'll understand. I'm passing a path here in this. I'm defining an attribute. This is attribute which I'm defining. So in the attribute section you'll have this value. Okay, so I'm passing the value here. For this is a source, means take the source file. Okay, take this embed Ruby source file and copy into this part. Okay, and once you copy it, give this permission, this and this more to that file. Okay, so once you saying, so what are line values this need to copy? So inside the server, so copy the values, whatever the values you get from this attribute, copy into this file. Okay, take helper MongoDB3 helper, which is the library. Okay, how the values need to be copied and how the file convergence. See here, MongoDB commonly in Chef it go like what are the content it get the values, it just copy. But when you try to configure your files, you have to convert it into some other format in the files. Okay, so all the file conversions, all these things will taken in the these libraries. Okay, so if I go here, if I go into the libraries, okay, so see MongoDB3 helper, which is I'm using here, MongoDB3 helper. Okay, I'm just going to here, I'm just opening this file. So see, so once you get here, okay, so which we have in YASH format, okay, and we are coming into we are converting into the YAML format while copying. Okay, and we are trying to define the function over here, how the convergence, how the everything should be happen once you get the values while copying into the server. So in config we are getting the values, right? So here see we are getting the values, and while converting into the file, it has to convert into the YAML file, and how the conversions need to happen, everything we have written here. This is how you can write it down. Okay, this is how libraries will help you. Okay, so these are the default folders which we present in the chef. Okay, so is it clear? Okay, so this is how you can define your resources. Okay, so now inside the Apache, into the recipes, so VA default file. So here package and the name and the action. So once you install the package, what is the next thing? You have to start the services. Okay, for that again service is the default resources. Okay, and the name, what is the service you want to start it, the name, and do, and what all actions you want to perform. So I want to perform action enable start end. Okay, so now I'm trying to perform two actions. One is service. I'm trying to start the services, and I'm trying to enable and start the services. Okay, so first thing, in the first step I have started, I installed. In second step I have enabled and started the services. Okay, so once you start the services, okay, so you want to configure any welcome page, right? By default you want to configure the welcome pages. Okay, so what you can do, you can write your welcome page configuration. Okay, so cookbook underscore file. Okay, so where you want to copy. So inside the server, whatever the path you want to copy, you can give that path www.index.html. So inside the server, okay, my HTML file need to copy into this path where www.html. In this path, it has to copy as a index.html file. You can mention here the file name. So, well, it can be any file name inside your files folder, but while copying, if you want to change the file name, okay, that file name should be mentioned here. Okay, here are index.html file. So you can mention whatever the name you mention here. With that particular name only, it will copy into the server. Okay, so cookbook file and source. So what is the source file name? So as I said, if you want to copy, we put that folder into the files folder, right? Inside the files folder, what is the source name? Okay, so and source name is what is the file name inside the file folder. So there also, if you have the same name, you can mention the same name, or you can mention other name. Okay, so cookbook file, this path, source is that one, and finally once you copy end. Okay, so this is how you write a sample Apache cookbook. Okay, is it clear? So if any doubts here.
Somewhere you will have to also define where are you getting all of your Apache installation directory, all those things also, right? Where
That's
are
what I
you?
told you. So wait. So as I told, so here package is the which defines your M repository. Okay, so if you want to get some files from your remote location, example, you have some installables in your S3 bucket. In Amazon, you have a S3 bucket. In S3 bucket, you have all your installables. Okay, in those cases, you have to give your remote file URL. So at that time, again, the command will get changed. That is not the same command you're going to use. So here the package is a resource which will represent your repositories, M repositories.
Got it, got it. Now I got it.
Okay, so that is all. So anyone still doubts?
Service block is needed for everyone, for every time, or we enable for our necessity.
No, it's everything is under depends on your necessity only. Okay, so
Okay.
we don't use. I just told you sample writing a cookbook. So depends upon your requirement, you have to write down your own cookbook. So as per my requirement, so my requirement, what is my requirement? Someone asked me to install and start the services, and they asked me to configure in like a welcome page. For that, doing that, I may require this one. So if someone asks you go and if someone asks you to configure some files inside the server, then you have to write down your cookbook in that way. How to configure a file or how to
Okay.
configure a folder, whatever it is. It depends upon your requirement. You have to write down your own code.
Okay.
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 So this is how you write your code. So once you done this one, okay. So package which gets from the M, and when the package got installed, it find that service HTTPD and it will enable and start. So finally, what it does, it go into cookbook file, and it's trying to copy. So it's saying in the source we have an index.html file and we are copying into this path inside the server. But whether in the source we have did not write down, right? So let's go and write the source file. Okay, now save this file, save this content. Okay, now go in you are inside the Apache, inside the resources, go inside the files folder. Okay, now inside cookbooks you are under the Apache folder, Apache, inside that you have files. Okay, now here write down, you will find a default folder, go inside the default, inside the files. Okay, so here you have, there is no content, there is no source, but in the cookbook you tell there is a source file. What is that source file name? Index.html file. There is nothing like that, right? So now go and write your HTML file. So what is that HTML file? What are the content it has to get displayed in the web page? You have to write down that content here. Okay. So now vi index.html. I'm trying to configure this page. Okay. Here I'm trying to configure an HTML file because web URL works in HTML file format, right? So here I'm trying to do that. Okay. So what is the content you want to copy into that file? You have to mention here. Okay. So now write down your HTML format. Okay. See here. What I've done? I just written a simple one. Okay. So HTML body. In that, what is the content you have to have message? This is my new Apache cookbook. That is what I've written. Okay. And I've closed my body. Okay. So these are HTML file I want to copy. So even someone hit my web URL, this is a page it has to get displayed on my web page. Okay. So now I save it. Okay. So these are what you've done inside the files folder. You have to configure in the index.html file, and that is what you're calling. You're calling from where you're calling. You're calling from the recipes. Okay, now let us go back to the recipes folder. Okay, so here we have default file. Let us open. So here installing, starting, and services. So now if you're trying to copy a file, cookbook file, okay, you're trying to configure a cookbook file. Now during the copy, okay, cookbook file. So in real time scenario, like you may have to set this file permissions also, right? Right? So you have to set your file permissions also. Okay, if you doesn't set properly, you may face some issues. Okay, so how you do set that? Okay, how you set that? If you want to set some permission, so what you can do simply, so how you set mode, okay, 06, what are the file permission you want to give, that permission you can mention here like this simply. Okay, so this will help you. So you are trying to set them mode. So 644. You want, once you copy the file to that server path, okay, there it has to give this permission. Okay, so this is how you have to configure. If you want to give some permission, this is how you can give file permission to your files. Okay, this is how you can make the changes. Okay, once you done with your changes, now save it. Okay, so once you save it, okay, now I'm just coming to chef label path here. From here, now go and execute your cookbook, whatever the cookbook you have written. Okay, so what is the command to upload a cookbook? So to create a cookbook, knife cookbook create Apache. Now to upload a cookbook, knife cookbook upload Apache, enter. So once you do this, it will upload your cookbook into your chef server. Uploading Apache. Now see, uploaded one cookbook. Now see, it uploaded with the version 1.0. Remember that. So when you try to update your Apache cookbook, second time you should not upload your cookbook this way. During the second time, first thing is like, okay, now let me show. So if I go to the policy, under the policy, you have cookbook folder. Under cookbooks, okay, if I refresh this page, see, under the Apache, this is my cookbook folder. You can see now it came. And if I go to the content, okay, so where you see the into the files, you will see the your index rotational file. Under the recipes, you will file your complete code, chef code. Okay, so these are you see now. So okay, now you are using this Apache cookbook inside a server. So tomorrow you may think you want to update something. Client said go and update your cookbook. Okay, so after updating a cookbook, okay, before starting with the update, first thing what you have to do is, okay, go inside a cookbook, go inside Apache. So cookbooks Apache. So go inside here. So there is something called metadata.rb file here, right? So update your version cookbook version number inside metadata.rb file. So whenever you make changes, upgrade your version number like this. vi metadata.rb file. Go here, go to the version. Inside the version, increase the version number. Okay. Well, next time if you are trying to upload, you have to upload your cookbook with version 0.2.0, so that it will not affect the old existing cookbook. If someone are using old existing book, it will be in service and you can upload the second one. Okay, so that is how you can make your changes to your cookbook with the different things. Okay, is it clear about writing a cookbook and using the cookbook different ways? Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit clear, but we'll practice it. Yep.
Okay, so this is how writing a cookbook. Now, so tomorrow what we'll do is I'll just show you how to execute this cookbook on an existing server. Now, I've written a cookbook, right? So in tomorrow's session, what we'll do is we'll see in different scenarios. If the server is registered already, then how you need to execute the cookbook on the already registered server. Well, that is one thing. Second thing is, while creating server itself, you want to install a cookbook and make sure server is up and application installed. Then how you need to perform. Okay, so let us go and perform these two operations tomorrow. Okay, so like different formats, like how the execution happening. Okay, so how the chef is recognizing your resource. As I told you, we are writing resource, right? How chef is recognizing that resources. All those things in tomorrow's session will be seen. Okay, so yeah, so Sam, just share your screen. You told you have some questions.
Yeah. I'm start. Give me a second. I'm starting my Amazon instances, so give me a second. Okay, so last time when I executed this command, at the end it was waiting for us. Can you see my screen?
See, what is the error you're getting? What you're trying to do? You're trying to do SSH to your server,
Yes.
right? And it got failed. So what could be the reason as per you?
SSH port might not be open.
Exactly. Have you checked that? So now go to the Amazon, select your server. Just select your server, come down. Go to, there is something called security in that. Just make it larger one. Pull up. Just pull that bar up. Yeah. So just no, just slowly. Wait. So see security group. So you have you assign some default under the available elastic IP availability zone. No. Go up. Don't come down. No, not there.
No, it's loading slowly. I'm on the right screen, but it's loading slowly. So there's a loading.
Okay. Fine. So click on the default. See, go to the inbound. So this is a rule you assign to your server, right? So now go to the inbound. See, all traffic. See, you allowed all traffic from particular source, not from your server.
Okay.
That is the issue.
Okay, so I say edit and then anywhere here.
Anywhere or my IP. Put my IP means it will allow traffic only from your, like you are trying to do SSH, right? So it will try to allow your SSH from your laptop. But when you change your network cable or if you change your internet connection, again your IP will get changed.
Yeah.
Okay. Again you have to make modifications.
So for now it should work as long as I'm on the same network, right?
Yeah. Until you have on this network, it will use this IP. If your IP got changed, again this will not work.
Okay.
Your SSH will not work to the server, or anything it will not work to the server. Again, you have to make modifications here.
Got it.
Okay.
I'll just stop the server and then. Okay, got it. Okay.
So, any doubts, anyone, or like you got any doubts during your practice sessions? Please let me know. I can help you now. Okay. So, yeah.
Yeah, I have few questions. I think you are going to tell them in the next classes about the permissions and donor nodes.
Permissions to the nodes. What permissions?
Yeah, you are giving some numbers like 0603. What do you mean by those?
So those are the file permissions to your files folders inside the Linux system. Okay, inside your Unix variants, okay, you will be configuring some files, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so those files, whether a normal, okay, so we have different kind of things. See, in a server you have normal user, admin user, and a read user or write user. Different users will have, like a developer or operation guy and then a DevOps guy. You have three different users. Okay, so in some particular path you have some secure files. Okay, if you think those files should be accessible only to the users who are having the root privileges. Okay, who whatever the user have root privileges, only they should be accessible my configuration files. Other users, they should not access my file. Okay, in those scenarios what you have to do, you have to define your mode. So mode is the one which sets the permission to your file. Okay, so who who access, if they have this particular range of access, only they can access this file. So that is how it defines.
Who gives these all? Like the admin or the DevOps team members in
Sorry.
the file? Who defines these? What about the for which
Mode.
role? Yeah,
Okay,
for
so
which role?
for what, like for file, what is the permission it should have, we have to define. So first thing you have to check whether if you give some permission to your file, okay, whether your application will allow or not. See, in few scenarios, if you if you make your file permission as 400, okay, 400 is the only read permission where any user can read, they cannot execute. Okay, in those scenarios, in few applications when try to execute that file, so they will not able to execute. Because of that, you'll find some failures. In those scenarios, what you have to do, you have to give 600
Okay.
permission. Okay, so like that, so you have to set your permissions depends upon your requirement. So that permission sometimes if developer ask you to write some chef code, then they will tell you what permission you need to use. So if you are trying to configure your own configuration file, then you have to decide, because you already done manually, right? You know, in manually when you try to configure, you know what permission you are given. The same permission you have to define in the chef. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, so that is how you have to make sure.
Okay.
Hey, Gopal,
Yeah.
if you're done with this, I have a question.
Yes.
Can I share my screen?
Yeah.
So this one failed. So I remember when you were executing this command, after you have given your access or the pair or the key pair name, it wasn't asking for anything, but now it was asking for a password while authentication. What password is this for EC2 user? Do you want to look at the command to see if everything is correct?
samkp.pem. Okay, so from which path you are executing, from which path?
Give me a second.
Got your error, right? You understand your error?
It may not have found the samkeypair.pem.
So in that path, your key pair is not, it's unable to find your key name. Understood? See, you are executing the command from one path. Okay, in that path you don't have C. Key pair is samsum.pem file. So no, it's inside your. No. You have here only. Now you are in. Now you are in chef repo path. Execute from this path. It will take the key pair.
I thought so. Okay.
Okay, that is the error.
Okay.
Okay, so tomorrow we'll catch up and let's see how we are going to execute our cookbook on the existing server or new server, and let's see how the resource block is getting executed. Okay, so thanks all. Bye.